Certainly evaluating how the tax reform, the tax modification is going to impact us both directly and indirectly. We think the net is a significant positive. What we're hearing and seeing already within our organization with our partners is that it's freeing up some capital that was going to be deployed elsewhere, allowing us to improve on infrastructure, bring in some talent to support future growth and development, as well as look at opportunities where we can put some additional equity into projects that otherwise would have required some additional debt or mezz. So we think it's going to be a net positive.
Tax reform is really giving everyone an ebullience and a sense of confidence. It seems to be coming at a time in 2018 when people are also deciding that they're just going to get some traction and get some deals done, and they aren't worried quite so much about stepping back and waiting. So it's a wonderful confluence of great events and timing. We look for 2018 to be big.
I think it's a little bit too soon to tell with tax reform. I think the positives are certainly that from a macro perspective, we're going to see a lot of impact on the economy. I think it's going to continue to be a pro-business sort of environment, and that's great for reinvestment, growth in our GDP, and ultimately positive news for our industry overall.
In terms of tax reform, I think to date the main presence that's been felt is in the economy. And basically it's the expectation that tax reform may potentially produce 4% annual GDP growth for this year. In terms of going forward, we haven't seen real estate investors reacting specifically, taking actions resulting from anticipated tax reform. So in general, I think for 2018, it's going to be the economic benefits rippling from the tax reform that's being implemented.
Tax reform is a reality, and we're still trying to wrap our hands around what it's going to mean to us in terms of our own motivation, in terms of getting aligned to benefit from tax reform. But so far, what we can tell you is that tax reform is having a very positive effect on the mentality and the economy. And we are seeing a strengthening of confidence in booking and in optimism about what our business is going to be like in the coming year that's coming out of the marketplace, in part due to tax reform. So it's been a real positive, and we expect it to continue to drive momentum for all of 2018.
I think the future aspects of tax reform and the impact on the hotel industry is probably a little bit too early to tell right now. I think it's probably going to be another year of the impact of depreciation and any of the flow through through taxes is just too early yet. So we'll see. And next year, ask me the question again.
I think it's too early to see any real impact from tax reform, but I do believe this year and the next couple of years we're going to see significant impact on GDP growth. And as GDP growth goes, so does hotel demand. So I think it's going to have a tremendously positive impact on our business.
Obviously, a lot of thought's been given to that by many constituents. We are a private family office, so clearly tax reform is going to mean more for all of our companies. It's going to be more capital available to us, so that's a good thing. When you have more capital available to you, sometimes, in my experience, what that does is it potentially is going to drive down your cost of capital. So I think fundamentally that's what I see as the largest contributor to, it's the largest result of tax reform, at least in our investment world.
Tax reform is wonderful right now because we're borrowing $1.5 trillion that our children and grandchildren are going to pay back, and everybody's happy and spending more money. I think the long-term result may be consequential in terms of what ultimately happens to the economy. Right now, it feels really good for all of us.